Hey folks, this is Kyle Keogh. I have about a week's worth of training footage that I've been sitting on for obviously for a week, and it is time to put it out. So I'm just going to make one big long 13-minute video in which I put out all of this footage. It's just stuff that I've been keeping for myself because as the days go on, I really benefit from watching things during my training sessions, after my training sessions, and keeping a catalog of everything. Something that I did really good through YouTube for a few years, and it helped a lot because I would go and I would do a weight, and then 6 months later I would do something very similar, and I would compare two videos and watch the bar speed very closely and the technique very closely. And honestly, for me, it was always more useful really than a training log because I could compare actual performance from one period to the next, and I didn't have to worry about how I remembered it. I could actually look at the video and then make comparisons from there. So it's something that I did for a few years, and then I kind of got out of the habit of doing it, albeit for the right reasons, because it was screwing up my training, causing me to do things that I really shouldn't do, training specifically because I was going to post something versus actually putting in good quality work. But now that I'm back on track, it is helping me to post this stuff up. So long story short, I'm going to just, instead of cutting a lot of this, I'm going to keep as much of it as I can and post a really long video because it'll be useful for me later. And it'll also just give me some time to talk and work through all the stuff that's going on here over this last week. Had gone to visit my family, spent 4 or 5 days out of the gym, came back in and started training right after that. Have put in a full week, training every day. The frequency is still 7 days a week. That's probably going to be the case for the next, I think I have it set up that way for the next 3 weeks. That might, I might end up cutting a week from that and then dropping down to 5 days a week frequency, but it really just all depends on how I feel and how I'm responding to the frequency. The next couple weeks are going to tell me a lot because this is really the period where I'm going to see most of my strength increase is going to be these last 5 weeks. So started the week off with deadlifts, 530, 4 sets of 4, moved fine. Didn't move terribly bad. I was really happy with the total volume. Would have liked for the reps to be a little bit crisper, but in all honesty, just with the amount of work that I have going on, my deadlift training and my bar speed is going to suffer as a result because it's a lot of squat volume right now. So I'm never going to be in a really good, really well-rested position to deadlift. So overall was pretty happy with the total volume on that. And then also did 3 bench sessions this week. This right here is 250 for 5 sets of 15. It's a high amount of volume in part because that's what my tendonitis can really handle. Intensity is what really screws things up. So I opted for higher volume. Got progressively worse over the course of the week. And by the end of the week, I was opting to use my slingshot. So what you're probably going to see me do at this point, since it is starting to go back down, and it's getting to a point where it's starting to affect performance. Wasn't on this session, but towards the end of the week it was. You'll probably see me overhead press for a week to a week and a half, possibly even 2 weeks, develop some overhead strength, and just do some sort of pressing variation that isn't going to cause my tendonitis to flare up. I don't know why, but it's always been great with overhead pressing, so I'm just going to stick with that for a bit. And then once I really get it down, then I'll go back to the sport-specific work the last few weeks. But it's just, I don't want to make the same mistake that I made going into the last meet, which was just push and push and push and push and find a few weeks out that I couldn't actually do any of my training anymore. That was not what I wanted to have happen. The day after after I did that first session, which was deadlifting and benching, I ended up going in and squatting. I was supposed to do 450 for 3 sets of 6. Did the first set of 6 and 2 reps on the second and just decided, man, I feel pretty rough and pretty under-recovered. That 450 is moving pretty slow for me there, and it felt really tough. Didn't feel like my legs were under me. Again, that's just a byproduct of the overall training volume and how I'm responding to it. I just have to be smart. And whenever I feel that way, if if I'm not at a minimum point of performance, I mean, if my performance drop off is so severe that there's a distinct decrease in bar speed, my strategy for this training cycle is just to drop sets and just go home. And really as simple as that. I won't overreact with a deload because I still want to accumulate fatigue, but just not quite at that rate. If I'm really overreached, then I'll just cut volume. And if it becomes something where it's session after session after session, then I would think about doing something like a deload. But small cut in volume is really what I would do as a first option. And as I saw later on in the week with my squats, high bar squats went better, and then low bar squats went a lot better. Not fantastic, but I at least had a day where I felt like pretty average, and and that just tells me that I'm not so overreached that I need another deload a week after taking 4 days off. That was benching. I did on that session. It was 265 for sets of 12, and those moved great. That actually felt better than the 250 day. It felt much better, but I was starting to feel some pain. Bring the bar down on the first rep towards the latter sets. I actually did 5 sets, but I just had 3 filmed. And the following session, that's when it really started to flare up. And I just decided at that point, and you'll see it in a sec, I went in cautious with my slingshot, which helps a lot. But after 2 sets on that, I could just tell, especially with that first rep, it was really causing me some discomfort. So I just know it's going to start to take away from my training if I keep pushing it. So I'll be taking my foot way off the gas and just doing some overhead work. And I'll get stronger at doing that as long as it's a short-term thing and not a 6-week thing. But yeah, I need to do that now. Following day, went in, high bar squatted, 5 sets of 8. 375. I had a couple people ask me what my high bar squat looks like. This is well, this is about it. This is the byproduct of a few months of working on it. I started working on it, I think, just because my tendonitis was really bugging me in the low bar position. So I opted for something that wasn't placing as big a strain on my bicep, which high bar obviously a good candidate for that. And I ended up, as I started working with it, ended up slowly becoming more comfortable with it till now, where I feel actually pretty good high bar squatting. It is significantly weaker than my low bar squat, which is good and bad. It's bad because it identifies a variation that I definitely need to bring up in order to bring up my back squat. But it's also good because it gives me something else to work on that presumably will carry over without me having to use really heavy training loads. So the goal for that session was 40 bar lifts. It moved, well, the plan was pretty ambitious because I think prior to this I had done 375 for a pretty hard set of 10. So 5 sets of 8, that's really ambitious. And honestly, the weights probably should have been a little bit lower to start. I would have liked to see, of those 40 reps, 35 of them with really good positioning coming out of the hole. At least for me, really good positioning. And I got maybe 30. First few reps are pretty good. Chest doesn't really drop. And then from there, especially as I start getting tired, I start making mistakes. It's not a significant difference if you just watch the video. It doesn't look like I'm really collapsing, but I can feel the difference, especially if you look towards some of these later reps. I can definitely feel the difference once I get towards the end, like right there. It's a small drop, but for me, it feels like a lot. It feels like I'm really losing my positioning. I mean, that one felt, it doesn't feel terrible. It just feels like I'm really starting to compensate because my quads are getting tired. And that's precisely why I need to do these. And I will definitely, after this next meet, be focusing on them again in an effort to heal up my tendonitis, which is still bugging me. It's not as bad as last prep, but we've got a ways to go before it's going to be fixed. And so I'm going to need to switch off a low bar for a bit after this meet anyway, and that'll mean all high bar all the time, which I'm not going to complain about because I'll be happy when the training loads after this training cycle can go down. So So that was the high bar squats. I will keep those once a week all the way through the meet. Been thinking a lot about the meet itself. I'm now right about 5 weeks away. The prep is going really well. My numbers are a lot higher than they were at this stage leading into the August meet. I don't have a video of it anywhere up because I just didn't bother filming it, but I had done a 16:03 in wraps at 165, my first meet at 165. Goal for this meet, honestly, is just to try and break that number without the wraps. So anything over 16:03, I'd be pretty happy with. I think that, in all honesty, I think I squatted 584 in wraps in that meet. And if I continue to progress quickly like I am, I could see myself matching that, possibly even passing it at this meet. Obviously, the depth has to be there and yada, 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 but I could see that happening. We'll probably match the bench, if not surpass it, which was 380, and we'll probably match, if not surpass the deadlift, which was 639. So my goal is to try and break that total. I've been thinking a little bit about world records, and the world record right now in that class is 1650. That might get broken again the week before the meet, but in all honesty, and I've had this talk with myself recently, what I need to do is I need to just focus on making progress in good quality training. I get so caught up in number chasing that I make bad decisions because I say, well, I need to do this training session because I gotta hit this particular number. I am probably not a 1650 total at this meet. That would be awesome if it happened, but that is probably not going to be me. I'll probably be somewhere in the range of 1600 to 1650 if the training goes well, but whatever the number is, I just need to focus on good quality training and developing from there. Otherwise, the rest of my year is pretty much mapped out at this point. I'm going to do this meet, and then in the summer, I am probably, I kid you not, going to do a multiply meet. I'll have to squat single ply because I can't squat that wide, but I'm probably going to do a multiply meet in the summer just because I want to stay active, but I also need to give my tendonitis a break, and so equipped is going to be probably easier on it. I'll have to test it out, and then I'll go back and I'll do another very early spring meet, whether that'll be Raw Unity 10 or something else, and I'll be back to Raw at that point. But it's probably going to be a little bit of a layoff after this one in terms of the Raw powerlifting meets, and I'm okay with that. But that's just something that has to be done. Anyway, I'll keep pushing towards this one and hopefully have a good performance because I feel like I'm setting up for it pretty well. Keep checking in. I'll have more videos for you very soon.